Welcome back to our beloved wilderness survival series. Today, we bring you the latest season for 2025, Alone Australia. As usual, 10 participants are equipped with only 10 specific items. The last person standing wins a $250,000 prize. This season continues the style of the first two seasons of Alone Australia, with ordinary people as contestants, making their experiences more relatable to our viewers. The challenge takes place on a deserted island in southeast Tasmania, known for its sparse resources. However, this time someone seems to have caught a large animal. Let's wait and see. Our first contestant is 63-year-old Musa, the oldest this season. Don't be fooled by Musa's age. He is in great spirits and looks vigorous. He easily handles 70 kilograms of camera equipment, starts setting up his shelter, and even finds a beer bottle to use for drinking water. After clearing the site and securing the tarp with ropes and stakes, his simple shelter is ready. Next on his agenda are hunting and fishing, but first, he needs to start a fire. He quickly gets a fire going and seems to have lived in the jungle since childhood, which explains his ease. His wife jokes about him returning from the contest without losing any limbs, rather than winning. With a shelter and fire ready, Musa promptly boils water, rejuvenating himself. Next up is 31-year-old Matt, who has a prime location by a bay where fish are visible, potentially making him the fish king of the season. After settling his gear, he finds a perfect camping spot surrounded by water on 3 sides, with trees for wind protection. He quickly sets up his tent and makes a bed from tree branches, finding it extremely comfortable. The third contestant, 34-year-old Chalid, finds several quoll tracks upon landing on the beach, exciting her as quolls are on the allowed hunting list. Her campsite is also near a bay, although her fishing skills are yet unknown. Chalid, a deaf volunteer for the disabled, started hearing the world at 17 through a cochlear implant. Used to solitude, loneliness isn't an issue for her. Back home, she has a supportive husband, and she's competing to win the prize money to improve their lives. After getting to know the environment, she builds a sturdy A-frame shelter, anticipating Tasmania's strong winds, and fortifies it against nocturnal quoll attacks. As night falls, the howling wind might disturb newcomers, but Chalid simply removes her cochlear implant to find peace. Meanwhile, her neighbor Matt isn't as lucky, struggling with sleep until he hears a squeaking outside at 4 a.m. He discovers a rat hole, attempts to catch the rat with a stick, and plans to build a trap after realizing the rat might have another exit. On the second day of the competition, the fourth contestant to appear is 38-year-old Ben, who has also built his shelter. In the morning, while going out to relieve himself, he unexpectedly finds a glass bottle, which proves even more useful than Musa's beer bottle. Ben, hailing from a small town in southern Australia, feels the pressure of supporting his 2 sons and daughter. He joined the competition for the $250,000 prize to give his children a better start in life. While near the water, Ben spots a wild duck. Although hunting such animals is allowed, Ben shows no interest and instead returns to camp to start fishing. As a devout Christian, Ben believes that with God's support, he can win this competition. Meanwhile, Matt begins making a rat trap, similar to a fish basket but smaller after sunrise. After weaving it, he uses wire to create a closure with inward-facing spikes at the top. The rat can enter without trouble, but escaping will cause it to get stuck and squeal. Matt eagerly places the trap at the rat's burrow and camouflages it with mud, expecting to catch it soon. The fifth contestant, Carla, is unhappy with her initial location. Early on the second day, she travels 1 kilometer to find a new spot. However, despite the desolation, she considers relocating since the area is near a water source and has accessible wood. At 35, Carla, an unmarried adventure team leader who lives a nomadic life, is among the more professional participants and is confident about winning. Returning to her original camp to pack, she suddenly feels weak after not eating for 30 hours and quickly drinks some water. She then checks a motion camera set up in the woods yesterday and is thrilled to find footage of an opossum feeding, a creature larger than a rat and also on the permissible hunting list. On the third day, it starts raining in Musa's area. Initially thinking he would be upset about not being able to forage, is slightly excited instead. While lake water needs boiling, rainwater is easier to drink. Musa rigs a stick to his shelter frame and ties 1 corner of the tarp to it, directing all rainwater to one side into a makeshift collection pool, creating an efficient automated water storage system. He tastes a small bottle of the collected water and finds it refreshingly sweet. The camera then moves to Chalid, who hasn't felt much hunger over 2 days, but keeping warm at night has become a major issue. She collects stones from the riverbank and digs a pit at one end of her shelter, stacking the stones like Tetris blocks to form a fire pit. Building the fire pit is followed by attempts to start a fire, but she struggles as the materials are too thick and the sparks from her fire starter are insufficient to ignite them. Eventually, Salith changes tactics, continuously striking the fire starter with a scraper, and finally manages to kindle a flame. On the fourth day of the competition, Matt's trap apparently failed to catch any rats. After not eating for 4 days, he is somewhat exhausted. One feels desperate. Matt even feels muscle soreness in his legs, a pain caused by lack of food. As a result, Matt changes his strategy and starts digging for worms to fish. He finds a large, thick earthworm after digging with a stick, quickly heads to the shore, baits his hook, and begins the long wait. During this time, hunger and loneliness make him think of his wife and children, recalling that he has never been away from home for this long. He even sniffles, which is not a good sign. Typically, those who miss home do not last long in wilderness survival. By the 5th day, Salith, having built a fire pit, enjoys a good night's sleep. But with no food for 5 days, it seems like the contestants are practicing asceticism. Salith decides it's time to act and makes a fishing rod to fish. As soon as she reaches the shore, she spots a trout, suggesting that fishing here might not be difficult. However, despite sitting until noon, she gets no bites, leaving her wondering if it's her fishing skills or just bad luck. Like Shalith's, Musa begins fishing today, easily finding several earthworms and setting up multiple hooks along the shore. Whether it's the quantity of bait or its quality, Musa quickly catches a trout. Although small, it's the first protein source of the season. While processing the trout, another rod starts shaking wildly. Musa rushes over and catches another trout. High in fat, trout perfectly compensates for the previous day's lack of food. Surprisingly, the oldest contestant, Musa, is the first to turn his fortunes around this season. The 6th contestant, 52-year-old Yankee, is the second oldest after Musa. Her calm and relaxed demeanor is rare among wilderness survival contestants. Yankee admits she has no outdoor survival experience. She simply follows her instincts. This laid-back approach often belies a hidden expertise.
We have the mountains, we have the lake, we have the fish, we have the wallabies. Sounds like a guinea pig, possibly a little bit bigger. Ho!
Before the contest, Yank was a rural farmer who raised 4 children alone after her divorce, honing many skills independently. On the second day, Yanka realizes her tent is pitched on a slope at the base of a mountain, vulnerable to flash floods. She decides to move, finally picking a spot near a lake for easier water access and fishing. The 7th contestant, 30-year-old Shay, has social anxiety, but feels more confident in the bushes. Shay is perhaps the most skilled contestant this season, proficient in various hunting techniques, and purposely gaining 25 kilograms for the contest. This extra weight equates to 192,000 calories, giving him a significant advantage in endurance. He is also the only contestant who brought salt, not only for consumption, but to use as bait to attract small animals, as salt is a rare and irresistible lure in the wild. Shay plans to set a few traps to test the waters, placing branches tied with rocks in areas of frequent animal activity, and setting up motion cameras to observe and tailor his traps accordingly. On the 3rd day of the competition, the 8th contestant, Tom, is also planning to move to a new home, primarily because his original place is somewhat damp, which could lead to chronic joint issues over time. After some searching, Tom chooses a hillside as his new campsite. As he plans the construction of his shelter, it is suddenly revealed that Tom is missing a hand, a significant challenge. Despite this, Tom, an ecologist before joining the contest, is familiar with many wild animal behaviors, which significantly aids his competition efforts. Tom openly admits he is competing for the $250,000 prize to provide a better childhood for his children, which is very meaningful for his life. Just as I wonder how he will manage to build a shelter with one hand, Tom pulls out a mechanical arm, demonstrating how to wear and control it on camera. With this device, Tom single-handedly brings a touch of mechanical civilization to the wilderness. He quickly crafts a hammer for himself using a knife and a stick, then builds the shelter frame using his prosthetic arm, leaving me truly amazed. The camera returns to Shay, who, after setting traps, starts weaving a fishing net. Despite having eaten little over the past 2 days, Shay is surprisingly energetic. While he is busy, a sudden roar behind him leads to the discovery of an opossum in a tree. Opossums are cunning creatures, always alert and ready to flee or disturb when unattended. As a professional hunter, Shay knows they are difficult to catch and decides not to waste time pursuing it, choosing instead to focus on finishing his fishing net. On the fourth day, the ninth contestant, Eva, decides to take a morning bath. She quickly strips down and lies in the chilly 8-degree water without feeling cold, showing her tough disposition. Before the competition, Eva was a host who spent her free time in the jungle, learning various skills from old woodsmen. In her youth, Eva went through a rebellious phase, frequently partying and picking up bad habits, but she eventually overcame these through sheer willpower, making her a strong contender for the championship. After bathing, she starts building a permanent shelter with a double A-frame and waterproof tarp, efficiently completing it in half a day. Inside, she constructs 2 wooden racks and lays branches on them to create an elevated bed that keeps moisture away and maintains body warmth. Lying on it feels perfect. By the 6th day, the competition still has all its initial contestants. Musa, who caught 2 fish the previous day, is probably digesting his meal by the shore. After yesterday's success, he feels it's crucial to capitalize on his momentum, setting bait on 5 lines before going for breakfast. He finishes 2 fish for breakfast, showcasing his dominance this season. Satisfied, he goes to check the lines and finds the first line unusually heavy. Unfortunately, the creature is quite large, forcing Musa to strip down and wade into the water to retrieve it. He pulls out a very fat eel, a creature whose body is over 20% fat, making it a life-saving resource in the wilderness. Just as he finishes dealing with this eel, another large eel begins thrashing nearby. The 63-year-old Musa can't help but laugh out loud, a stark contrast to other contestants who are still struggling with hunger. We return to the trap hunter Shay. To fulfill his goal of surviving 300 days, Shay plans to build another kangaroo trap. He first checks the motion camera set up a few days ago, and indeed spots an opossum, which seems very interested in the salt block bait. This confirms Shay's earlier guess. Despite not having eaten anything yet, Shay always seems to have everything under control, potentially marking him as a future champion. Shay constructs a temporary scaffold in a tree, then hoists a counterweight into the air. He lays a fishing net on the ground beneath it, designed to hoist an opossum or kangaroo if stepped on. Whether he will succeed in catching meat is a matter of time. At this point, the last contestant, Corinne, finally makes her appearance. Corinne, who loves to maintain her appearance even in the wilderness, uses charcoal to apply eyeliner, captivatingly drawing attention. But do not underestimate her. She appears to be the one who caught a large animal in the intro. Today, Corinne plans to raise her shelter's height. She cuts a Y-shaped branch and saws it to the right length, digs a hole, and props it under the shelter's crossbeam, allowing for upright walking inside. This significantly improves the internal space. By the 7th day, Matt experiences light drizzle, but his shelter is fully completed, featuring a bed and 2 gables, keeping the interior dry despite the rain. To date, Matt has not consumed any protein. He quickly goes to the lake to set up a fishing net, hoping to increase his chances. He attaches 2 earthworms to the net and adds a fishing basket nearby, but the past 6 days have yielded nothing. 4 hours later, he returns empty-handed again. Back at his shelter, Matt starts missing home again. As a fan once said, missing family is often just an excuse. Isn't earning money to improve life better than returning home defeated? By the 9th day, trap hunter Shay is still empty-handed. It's time for his routine trap check, which clearly hasn't been triggered. Shay can't hold on much longer. A few more days of hunger might be the end for him, but he mentions having a backup plan and starts digging under an old eucalyptus tree, revealing his backup plan: earthworms. Though clumps of worms look quite unappetizing, Shay has no other choice. Approximately 20 to 30 earthworms equate to a piece of lean beef. While they're energy-dense, their texture is something most people would not dare to try. The camera returns to Matt, who has been enduring light rain for 2 days. Unable to catch any fish, Matt begins eating grass. He's given up on retrieving his fishing net. Despite losing hope in fishing, he hears splashing water at night, which excites him. Grabbing his camera, he rushes to the lake and finds a fat-laden eel, which significantly extends his dwindling chances of survival. As of now, it's too early to say who will win the championship. Both Musa and the mechanical warrior seem to have a good chance. Who do you think looks more promising in front of the camera? Feel free to discuss and leave your comments below.
The challenge has reached its 10th day. Matt wakes up every morning to enjoy the beautiful scenery. He is in a great mood today, mainly because he caught an eel last night. The meat is incredibly tender, ensuring every bite is packed with fat. If he could catch an eel every week, he'd be laughing in his dreams. He simmers the eel in a pot, and the long mist aroma of meat is absolutely amazing. Matt enjoys his meal under the sunlight, and just as he imagined, the fat dances between his teeth, so smooth it slides down his throat without even needing to swallow. One fish, one pot of soup. His belly is full. He feels more confident about lasting longer now. Now, let's see how Eva is doing. Her shelter is warm and dry. She takes a sip of warm water, vintage 1982, to warm herself up. Suddenly, something darts past. Upon closer look, it seems to be a bandicoot. Eva didn't expect them to be so bold. This proves there's still food around, as long as she can find their hiding spots. Her menu might soon expand with some new delicacies. Her energy levels are still high, and Eva is surprised at how well she's handling hunger. A full 10 days have passed, and her stomach isn't even growling yet. Even though she's been working hard all this time, theoretically, her body should be weak by now. But in reality, she's perfectly fine. Turns out you never know how tough you are until you're pushed to the limit. Last night, a rat sneaked into her shelter. It's a shame she couldn't catch and roast it over the fire. Maybe she should set up a trap. Coincidentally, the rat is back, gnawing on the wood. Seriously? Does it really think Eva is an easy target? She grabs a rock and hurls it hard. The rat escapes way too fast. At least she found the toothbrush that was stolen last night. She was so close to having rat meat for dinner. It would have tasted great even without any seasoning. Now the question is, can she still use a toothbrush that's been chewed by a rat? Corinne doesn't have such worries. Joining this challenge has made her lose so much weight. It's way more effective than any weight loss boot camp. She heads out to find some snacks, though her stomach keeps growling nonstop. Otherwise, life is pretty good. There are plenty of edible plants around. She could survive a month just on these. The problem is, she's not a vegetarian. She can tolerate it for a short while, but going too long without meat would drive her crazy. So she rewards herself with some high-quality protein, freshly dug-up beetle larvae, which are several times more nutritious than beef. Corinne is a bit hesitant about this, especially imagining the juices swirling in her mouth. It's not something just anyone can handle. If she can't even eat a bug, she won't get far in this survival challenge. After some mental struggle, she decides to use them as bait for fishing. It's not that she's unwilling to try, but she'd rather take a gamble go big or go home. Corinne gives an awkward smile to the camera, then suddenly tosses the bug into her mouth. Wow! She even tricked her own brain. She barely chews, and swallows it straight down. She doesn't even taste anything. Corinne realizes eating bugs isn't as hard as she imagined. Her goal is to outlast everyone and win the prize money. She'll stuff anything edible into her mouth. Meanwhile, Celine is busy preparing materials. She talks to herself in front of the camera every day, and with the surroundings dead silent, it's enough to drive anyone insane. Her gill net is almost ready. Once it's finished and thrown into the water, she's sure to catch some fish to eat. The only question is whether her body can hold up. She's been working nonstop, and the energy expenditure is massive. On top of that, she doesn't have much body fat to begin with, so time is running out for her to secure food. She's putting all her hopes into the gill net. If she can get it into deeper waters, her chances of catching fish will skyrocket. At the very least, she needs to anchor it to a tree. The water isn't very warm right now, and hypothermia is a real risk if she goes in. But if she rigs up a pulley system with ropes and secures it to the tree, theoretically she'd only need to enter the water once. Teelid has no choice but to enter the water to get food, no matter how reluctant she is. Even before stepping in, she's already shivering. And once she's in, it's even worse. The process goes smoothly without any mishaps. Now she hurries to put her clothes back on. Finally, Celida feels like her body is her own again. The pulley system works smoothly, and the gill net reaches the deeper area without issue. Everything seems to be going well. The only question is when she'll actually catch a fish. Meanwhile, Shay sits in his shelter, starving and questioning his life choices. For the past 10 days, all he's had is water. He wonders how the other contestants are doing. Surely no one has it worse than him. There's no sound of animals nearby, so his traps probably aren't working. Still, he has to check them. Even if they've been triggered but caught nothing, at least it would mean there's food around. That alone would lift his spirits a little. But when he checks, the trap is collapsed on the ground. Something must have gone in and escaped. It doesn't look like a small creature's doing. He quickly checks the camera footage. Turns out it was a small wallaby. The trap was never going to hold it. The good news is, there is food nearby. The bad news is, he might not be able to catch it. Guess he'll have to stick to eating bugs. The more Shay thinks about it, the more frustrated he gets. Where did all the food go? Right now, he just wants to ask the production team, is there really nothing else to eat around here? The challenge has now reached its 12th day. Matt has an impressive ability to regulate his emotions. He even has the energy to dance in front of the camera. Unfortunately, the good mood doesn't last long. Soon, hunger sets in, leaving him dazed. He starts considering whether to quit and go home. This is the first time he's been away from his family for so long, and it feels absolutely terrible. Not eating enough, not sleeping well, constantly worrying about survival. If he hadn't caught that eel earlier, he would have dropped out long ago. He still savors the memory of that meaty flavor, even without any seasoning. Just the broth alone was enough to make him gulp down several bowls. He should have kept the bones to boil again. At least there'd still be some fat in the soup. Better than just drinking plain water. Night falls. Prime time for eel activity. Whether he gets meat tonight depends on his luck. Of course, night fishing comes with risks. Just sitting there drains his body heat. If he accidentally falls in and gets soaked, he might as well announce his withdrawal on the spot. No matter what, Matt is determined to push through. He doesn't know if any contestants have dropped out yet, but he'll stay as long as he can. Back when he watched others take on survival challenges, he knew the conditions were tough, but at least there was food around. Why is it that when it's his turn, all he gets is one eel? Could the production team be targeting him? He should really make a net and set it up in the water. Night fishing every day is pure torture. Just as he's about to give up and return to his shelter, the fishing line suddenly tightens. He immediately pulls it up. This is what he's been waiting for. It might look skinny, but this eel is longer than his forearm. Enough to keep him full for 2 or 3 days. Thank you, nature. At least, sitting in the cold wind all night wasn't in vain. If he can keep this up, he won't claim he'll definitely win, but at least a top 4 finish seems possible. Day 13 of the challenge. As the oldest contestant, Musa has extensive survival experience. He prepared thoroughly from the start. Even his shelter is something other contestants could learn from. Even as the weather turns harsher, his stock of smoked fish keeps him more comfortable than the others. The smoking rack not only preserves fish longer, but also helps dry out firewood. Life is going surprisingly well. Just look at that pot of eel soup. The layer of fat on top is mouth-watering. Musa gulps it down without hesitation. He never knew eel could taste this good. If only he had some pasta to go with it. He'd happily eat this every day for life. Normally, someone would have quit by now, but surprisingly, no one has dropped out yet. Musa initially worried he wouldn't outlast the others, but with this much eel meat, he's feeling a little too confident. After eating, he checks his fishing lines by the shore. If he can land one big catch this week, this won't feel like survival. It'll be a vacation. He was ready to accept another empty-handed day, but luckily, the fish are still delivering. His smoking rack is almost full. Maybe he should build another. And inside this fish, there's a surprise. 2 fish roe. 100% natural, no additives. Fresher than anything served in restaurants. He savors it slowly. Anything that restores energy is a win. Musa feels like he's already halfway to victory. No one else is living this comfortably. Day 14 of the challenge. Carla wakes up and starts relocating her camp. Starvation isn't her biggest concern. As long as she stays warm, everything else is manageable. That's why she's poured so much effort into her shelter, even if it exhausts her. At least she can prove her skills. Her shelter may not be the best, but it's definitely better than most. Now, she just needs to secure the waterproof tarp, and it'll be livable. There are still details to refine, but Carla believes that if she sleeps well, food will work itself out. So for now, she'll keep improving the shelter, sealing every gap, making it truly windproof and waterproof. Ideally, it should be so warm that sleeping by the fire makes her sweat. Overall, it's already solid, but she wants to perfect it further. She still sets aside time to forage, mostly because her stomach won't stop growling. Fishing remains her main food source. It lets her rest while waiting for a bite. She never expected to catch an eel, let alone one this massive. Her grin is impossible to suppress. This might be the biggest catch among all contestants. She's so excited she can't even speak. Silid, however, isn't as lucky. Her body aches relentlessly. Without food, she can't keep going. Her strategy was always fishing, and whenever she's on the brink of starvation, a fish usually shows up to save her. To improve her gill net success rate, she tries crafting a fake fish lure from scraps. It should be more tempting than bugs. She tests it on her fishing line first, but hand casting only reaches shallow water. Half the time, it lands on shore, or tangles around her fingers. Turns out, the gill net is still better. At least she won't get hooked by accident. After repeated failures, she realizes she'd need a proper rod for long casts. Defeated, she just wants to lie down and rest. She doesn't know how to turn things around. Starving like this feels pointless. Without a reliable food source, Seelid thinks it might be time to go home. Day 15 of the challenge. No one has dropped out yet. Seelid decides to try her luck at the creek, bringing along a funnel trap she made. With all this gear, there's no way she won't catch even a small fish. No scriptwriter would make it this cruel, right? The creek isn't far from her shelter. Just as she was worrying about food, she spots a fish in the water. She carefully wades in, takes aim, and hurls a stick. No surprise, she misses. No funnel, no gill net. No wonder she scared the big one away. Now she resorts to building a stone barrier, trying to corral the fish, and leave only one exit for the funnel. In theory, all the fish should swim right in, as long as the trap doesn't fail. Seelid keeps watching the water. To her shock, the fish actually swims toward the funnel. Free food? Not a second to waste. She snatches it up for inspection. Yep, it's the same big fish from earlier. Turns out, when you're starving, the universe does send help. Now Seelid feels unstoppable. She proudly shows off her prize. Enough for a full meal. She's so moved she could cry. This was hard-earned. If she'd known the creek had fish, she would have come here every day. No matter how much the fish fought, it was doomed from the start. After a quick rinse, Seelid prepares to treat herself tonight. Day 16 of the challenge. A heavy rain is coming, but Mott couldn't care less. His shelter is solid, his food supply stable. He could last a month like this. Physically, he's fine. Mentally, not so much. He keeps thinking about his family. That's the real torture. Winning the prize money would make it worth it. But if he loses and misses his kids growing up, might as well go home now. After the rain stops, Matt walks to the shore to admire the view. No matter how many times he sees it, it never gets old. His longing for home now outweighs his desire for the prize. Physically, he could endure months of hunger. But the mental toll? That's another story. Just imagining his kids asking, "Where's Dad?" breaks his heart. Maybe, just maybe, they'd rather have him home with the prize. But Matt says nothing. He picks up the phone and calls production. Finally, someone's quitting. Ben, this season's contestant, handles hunger well. But loneliness, that's his weak spot. And that's the hardest part of Alone. Also, day 16. Today is Maney Ziva's birthday. She crafts a tiny cake for herself, the kind money can't buy. Her only wish? To eat until she's full. Nothing else matters more. Last year, she spent her birthday in the wild too. Stranded in a desert, with nothing but canned food. At least back then, she had food. Before survival challenges, she wasn't happy. Life suffocated her. Only in nature does she feel free. Winning the prize would be the cherry on top. For now, she just wants to fill her stomach by fishing. She always comes to this spot, though it's not ideal. So far, she's caught almost nothing. Maybe her birthday luck will change that. If not for her growling stomach, she'd love to just lie here and enjoy the view. Perhaps it's time to scout a new fishing spot. Seelid's situation. Seelid prepares to catch fish for food. Yesterday's successful trap catch provided a proper meal, the first satisfying one since arriving. Now confidence grows about completing the challenge. A few more fish, and hunger won't be a concern this week. Returning to yesterday's spot reveals fish swimming in the water. The funnel trap gets positioned at the confluence, with careful observation of the water's surface. Any entering fish will be grabbed immediately, far simpler than rod fishing. This challenge brought significant improvement, particularly in enduring hunger. Who imagined surviving 15 days without proper meals? During this reflection, a fish darts into the trap. The method proves effective. Another large fish becomes dinner. A firm strike to its head with a stick prevents any chance of escape. The swollen belly indicates roe. Ordinary life makes caviar a luxury. Here, every catch provides unlimited access. Freshness requires no description, EDOA. The sensation practically dances on the tongue. If the creek remains productive, a steady food supply seems guaranteed. The funnel trap gets hung on a nearby tree casually. Current progress suggests Tillide genuinely might last until the end.